We are going to be taking a look at a typical prisoner's journey through the prison from start to finish. Holy sh! I am in a solitary confinement padded cell. Green Island, Taiwan probably brings up images of amazing diving spots, delicious seafood, and of course the reason the island has its name, lush greenery as far as the eye can see. But to many people, the island has a dark past and a dark nickname to go with it, known historically as Burnt Island or the Island of Fire due to its black volcanic rock being interspersed with a fiery red-brown soil. But the volcanic topography isn't the only dark thing about this island, as it also has become infamous as Taiwan's prison island. So you can only imagine how terrible it must have been to be locked up in one of these places. So just as America has Alcatraz and South Africa has Robben Island, Green Island here in Taiwan is well known among Taiwanese people as the prison island. And while there still is a functioning prison on the island housing 100 inmates, the site of the former prison and New Life Correction Center is where I'll be exploring today. As although many Taiwanese are aware this place existed, many haven't explored it personally, so I went to check out the place where they held political prisoners from the 1950s right through to the 1980s. We are going to be taking a look at a typical prisoner's journey through the prison from start to finish. So I'm sure there's going to be lots of contentious issues. There's going to be things that I know about, some things I don't know about. So I'm really happy to welcome your comments down below. Please don't attack me if I say something wrong. I'm learning as I go throughout this prison. But what I really want to do is start this video where most of the political prisoners would start their journey through the prison system here in Green Island. And this behind me, sometimes known as Elephant's Nose Rock, is also quite alarmingly known as Hell's Gate or Devil's Gate, because most of the prisoners that arrived on the island would take their first steps through this gate into an unknown future where a lot of them didn't even know whether or not they would survive their time in prison. Unfortunately, as we're going to find out today, many of them didn't. But standing here on the beach with the gate behind me, about to walk through, really starts to build up some ominous negative feelings that I'm sure are going to build up as we go through the prison and on to some other locations. So as the prisoners had done in the past, I made my way through the naturally formed Hell's Gate, across the narrow road and up the bleak concrete steps towards the imposing brutalist building of the former Green Island Reform and Re-Education Prison, which is actually one of two former prisons that now make up the Green Island White Terror Memorial Park. This prison opened in 1972 and was ironically known as Oasis Villa. But as we will see later, this place was far from anything we would refer to as a villa nowadays. But after a little pushback from the guards about me filming inside, they offered me a chaperone for my visit, and I made my way into the prison. And this place where I started the video is a typical example of where you can see some of that propaganda, that brainwashing. They were trying to convince the political prisoners that the new Taiwan was the way to go. So you can see behind me they have 我爱国家,我爱国旗. I love the country, I love the flag. Whether or not you agree or disagree with the brainwashing principles, you can definitely see a lot of the propaganda around here is aimed at getting the political prisoners on board with the new authoritarian regime. So between the excellent English language pamphlet, the information boards, and using my dodgy Chinese to ask my tour guide about the place. 这个是从几年到几年？1972到1987年，台湾解除戒严之前。好 ，OK。I was picking up quite a lot of information about the prison and the things that went on here.
这个监狱就叫八卦楼。
八卦楼。
对。
八卦楼 was interestingly a nickname given to the building by Green Island residents due to its distinctive shape that resembled a type of coconut crab that resides on the island. But ultimately, there is no better way to learn about the conditions inside the prison than to see it with my own eyes. So as we walk into the prison, the first thing that greets you is this hexagonal shape, and this apparently is where the security guards or the prison officers would watch over the prison. And then off to each corner there's 4 wings. That's where the prisoners would be kept.
So I think what I'd really like to do is go down to one of the wings and see if we can get into one of the cells.
Some of the wings are open for visitors to explore, but one of the wings is locked to the public and only open for special visitors or scheduled tours. Luckily for me, as I had a chaperone with a key, we were granted access to a part of the prison that would have only been accessible by the well-behaved prisoners.
So
the lady explains some of the cells had been converted into a store, a library, and even a hair salon, but each one still had the reminder in the corner that this building was a prison and the prisoners' freedom, liberties, and dignity had very much been taken away.
厕所，我们这一栋监狱总共有113间的房间。这个厕所是唯一复原成最早期的厕所的样子。因为刚好提到说这个监狱有曾经改建过，对，所以很多监狱的地板跟瓷砖都后来改建的，包括这个窗户也改建，没有那么的大。
So here I am in one of the original cells that would hold the prisoners. This is just 5 pings big, probably half the size of my apartment. And in here there would be about 8 to 12 political prisoners, and they would be kept in here for 24 hours a day with maybe some exercise in the morning or the afternoon, depending on the weather. If it was raining, it was hard luck. You just had to stay in here with your cellmates. One bathroom, 没有水澡。
洗澡的地方就在这个马桶里面这边。
What？
以前的刚才我们看到的厕所，我们刚才看到的厕所是刚才那个福利社那个厕所的样子，没有这个漂亮的瓷砖都没有。
哦，这个是新的吗？
这是新的。
OK， 为什么？
可是早期因为后来改建啊，台湾解除戒严的时候后来改建。
OK。然
后这边以前就只有一个洞，他们会利用一个碗。 或一件衣服裹住那个碗，堵住马桶的入口，塞住。
My God！
然后一压水，水会流而成变成一个水池。刷牙、洗澡、擦脸都在这个马桶里面解决。
Oh my God！
在我们想象会很难以置信，可是他们就是这样做，8个人就是一直都坐在这边。
Hearing stories of the terrible sanitary conditions in the cells was quite shocking, but we soon left the Bagua building and entered the prison's auditorium that previously would have been used for political speeches but now contains information boards detailing the process the prisoners would have gone through and how thousands of people met their end in Taiwan's prison system, which was much more shocking to hear.
未枪决的人就可能会被送来绿岛或台湾本岛，可是如果你死刑了，就会在台北新店的就是安坑刑场或者是马场町，就不会来到绿岛。
Yes, records show that more than 140,000 people were incarcerated during the White Terror period, 20,000 of whom were held here on Green Island, and an estimated 3,000 to 4,000 were directly executed for their real or perceived opposition to the KMT's government. And I did find time during my stay on Green Island to visit the nearby White Terror Memorial Monument, where the names of all of the victims are displayed alongside an incredibly poignant poem written by Bo Yang, one of Taiwan's most famous poets, who was also held in Green Island for perceived political dissidence. And in the poem he talks about how the mothers of the victims would cry at night for the people kept prisoner here. Another incredibly somber, humbling and meaningful location on this island. But back to the prison tour, and almost hidden away in a corner of the prison yard was a place that continued to shock me.
Oh my God. And this place is a solitary confinement cell, I'm told. This is where badly behaved prisoners would be kept. By badly behaved, those that were emotionally unstable or refused to accept the thinkings of the government, they would be put in here. And although there's a big window right behind me, massive white bars keeping the prisoners in, reminding them that they are completely trapped. I'm not a claustrophobic person, but this is really creepy. This is really uncomfortable being in here. Even when the door is open, I can get out very easily. Incredibly uncomfortable feeling being in here. Ah, look at that.
禁闭式海绵房，它将近有10公分的海绵，它是防止你去冲撞。
对，我可以进去吗？
可以，我应该这间可以。
Oh my God, the sound is so different. Ah. Holy sh! I am in a solitary confinement padded cell. You can probably hear the sound. It's completely different. The walls are padded. I'm not sure how much you can see. There's a tiny little window and no light in here. I can't imagine what this must be like. Whew. Geez, this is heavy. We are some of the guys here spend 20 or more years in conditions like this, and I can't even begin to imagine how they must have felt. And not because of something they'd done wrong, just because of some views they had that didn't agree with the authoritarian government at that time. It must have been absolutely terrible to go through that.
Terrible is almost certainly an understatement, but after being shown around the visiting rooms and hearing the stories of some inmates, my guide took us on a short scooter ride past a section of the original prison wall built by the prisoners themselves to another prison that was opened earlier than the reform prison and was known as the New Life Correction Center, where it held male and female political prisoners from 1951 to 1965. And conditions in this place seemed even worse, as once again we were granted access to a locked part of the prison where they now have wax figures in place of the prisoners that would have been kept here. Incredibly dark, so excuse the poor camera footage, but it was another eerie place that genuinely made me feel uncomfortable just as a guest, with complete freedom to leave at any time. And leave I did, as there was a few more locations that I want to share with you, as it was where some of the more unfortunate inmates would have found the end of their journey through this unforgiving penal system. This is a cemetery known as the 13th Squadron, and ordinarily I would never dream of filming a cemetery in Taiwan, but as part of this video I think it's quite important to show that the prisoners that died of suicide or disease, not executed or released, they were actually buried here under the term the 13th Squadron, because within the prison system apparently at the time the prisoners were divided into 12 different squadrons. So this was the final resting place of those that didn't meet their death through execution. But yeah, of course, incredibly somber place, but just somewhere I really felt I had to include as part of the video. Let's get down to Swallow Cave, where I think things are going to get even more somber. This is Swallow's Cave. Apparently this is where they used to bring the political prisoners and force them to take part in stage plays. There's like a little stage behind me there. Not sure if you'll be able to see, but there's like a raised part here for seating for people to watch. But also, as well as putting on plays here, I've heard that this is where they would bring the bodies of executed prisoners for cremation or storage before burial. And even one of the Coast Guards that we just spoke to give us directions off camera, he told me that this is where some of the executions would actually take place. An incredibly eerie, heavy place to be. I feel a little uncomfortable here. I don't know what to say. It's incredibly... Oh my god, I don't know what to say. It's creepy, but it's also a part of history. So making a video about Green Island's prison systems, as much as I know or don't know, I felt it was important to come and share this part. But yeah, this is Swallow's Cave. So as it's obvious to see, the heaviness and historical significance of this site was affecting me to the point I didn't really have any words at the time. And as I took a walk up the rocks to view the ocean and look back into this cave, I was asking myself, why have I made this video? To understand the place for myself? To let others see Taiwan's history? Or perhaps maybe I wanted to show how history is exactly that. It's history. It's past. Mistakes that are made can be forgiven, but in honor of those that suffered, they must not be forgotten. People truly suffered unnecessarily on this island, and their families and ancestors will live with that, but also must go on to try and live alongside the ancestors of those that wronged them. And I hope that in some small way this video can serve to demonstrate that we are all flawed and make mistakes, but it's how we learn from those mistakes that make us better people to ourselves and those around us. Thanks for watching this video. I welcome your comments and feedback on anything that I've said, but time to say goodbye. So as for now, and as always, I'll see you next time in My Life in Taiwan. Peace.